Alrighty then. How is everyone doing this fine Friday afternoon or evening? Evening.
Evening.
Evening, definitely evening.
How's everyone doing today?
All right.
Good.
Wonderful. We are back with episode 2 of Planeshifters. I'm really excited. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're joining us and you've followed us before, we appreciate your support. Now to get everyone kind of caught up, our heroes fought to save the city of Elturel from the clutches of monsters of Avernus. Their clever thinking combined with the aid of a solar, they were able to plane shift themselves and the city back to the material plane. Unfortunately, they shifted to an alien plane of Ravnica. Upon arriving, they found their entire city flooded with humanoid bug-like creatures. The battle was bloody and chaotic, but with the aid of Elturel's soldiers, our heroes were able to fend off the disgusting swarm. During the chaos, unfortunately, the Grand Duke, I forgot his name, shit, and I didn't add it. The
Uldar Ravengard
yes.
of Baldur's Gate.
Uldar Ravengard.
Grand Duke Uldar Ravengard was taken by a horrific flying creature. Now, our heroes have elected Reya Mantlemorn to be Elturel's leader in the interim. What challenges will our heroes face? Will another swarm attack? Will they leave the city to venture forth into this new world? All while trying to get back to the Sword Coast. I am Justin. I am your Dungeon Master for today. Once again, thank you guys for joining. If you don't know, I am the host of the Crit Academy Dungeons & Dragons talk show. We live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Come and join us. We'll be talking adding hex crawling to your D&D experience this Sunday. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce my player characters. We'll go around the table. Please tell us what your character's name is and a little bit about it. About your character, just a couple sentences, no, not too long. We want to get right into this. With that, let's start off with Ian.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ian, co-host for Crit Academy. I am playing the human artificer, Earl Bronson. And short version in a nutshell, Earl's personality is, what does this button do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I like that. All right, Austin, would you like to go next?
Hey guys, I'm Austin, co-host at Crit Academy, and I play Zorax, who is Angry Angel Man. That's putting it very brief, but that is exactly what he is.
Nothing wrong with that. Accurate, I would say. Also, probably particularly angry that he got turned to stone last time.
Yeah.
All right, and of course, we don't want to forget I'll get to our newest recruit later. Matt, would you like to go?
Hello everyone, my name is Matthew, and I play Garmor, a moon druid who always keeps his hood up, never shows his face, or even discern what his race is. A bit mysterious, if you ask me.
Ooh, fancy. All right, and of course we have our friend Will. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your character Cecil, and about your a little bit about your character. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Will, and I'll be playing Cecil. He's a 4 elements monk, kind of a wanderer, a linguist, a connoisseur of life, we'll say.
I like it. Very good. So, with that, let's dive into it. Last time we left off our heroes, you guys had just fought off this swarm of beetlemen, bugmen, I guess, and the entire town was swarmed, and with the help of the soldiers, you were able to kind of defeat them. You quickly, with the loss of the Duke, you had to elect somebody to put in charge, and you guys decided on Reya Mantlemorn. And so, leading up to this, a few hours have passed. She has given everyone a moment to start spreading the word. She's going to have a meeting in the keep and has asked everyone to spread the word to get any remaining villagers and citizens, as well as much of the important people as she can without risking the security of Elturel. She's done what she can to give some commands to the soldiers. She's relying heavily on the generals to kind of ensure that the city has been quarantined and safeguarded and reinforce the weaknesses, plugging up any holes that might allow these creatures to form up and crawl up through the sewers. I think they came through the well last time, up through the center of the split in the city from when it was in Avernus. She's been running around hectic. People are freaking out. There's green ichor everywhere, blood for corpses from soldiers that died during the battle with not only the demons, but also with the bug creatures. Demon corpses lay everywhere. It's just a complete disaster in the city of Elturel right now. Reya Mantlemorn has assigned you guys to kind of pass the information along. So with that, I want to give you guys a minute or two each to kind of explain what is your character's priority while they're you're spreading the word to the NPC or to the citizens, and what is your character's kind of train of thought at this situation right now. Why don't we go ahead and start with Will? Your Cecil kind of experienced all this stuff going on around him. Why don't you tell everyone kind of what's going through his mind as he's doing what he can to help people out?
Yeah, so Cecil knew this part of the city pretty well. He's from this area, so I mean it was a hard hit for him. So there are people that he knows that knew past tense.
Nice touch.
It's been tough. Yeah, and so he's doing what he can to help right now.
All right. So he's running around. He's kind of ushering people up to the keep. What about Garmor?
He would initially go around talking with people in short sentences just to gather up anyone who's injured, come to the keep, and after he's done a little bit of that, he goes to the keep and he begins preparations for some healing with any of the soldiers who are wounded, as well as civilians who are gravely wounded or is in need of immediate treatment. His first step would be to, I guess, use his last 5th level spell slot to cast Mass Cure Wounds.
Okay.
Which is 3d8 plus 5. Do I have to roll for that?
No, I got you. All right, so Garmor, you kind of as you're ushering people into the crowd, they're freaking out, they're crying. There's ichor on some of them. They're falling apart. Their world has been smashed around them. You kind of, with a little bit of effort, you're managed to kind of gather them together. You call them all close, and you send out you release this bit of like nature energy, kind of. Butterflies and the scent of blossoms kind of fill the air as people's wounds begin to slowly stitch up. You can see their wariness kind of fading away as you begin to usher them farther, and they thank you so much. I don't know what I would have done without you, my boy. He was so injured. And you see that she's holding like a 2-year-old, and you see his wounds down his back are healing up, and she's just thanking you over and over and over as you're trying to continually usher him in towards the High Hall Keep. Austin.
Yes.
Is it a keep or a cathedral? I think it's a cathedral.
I thought it was the cathedral too.
It is the cathedral. Yeah, I found it. You're right. I keep calling it a keep because it looks like one, but it's actually a cathedral. The High Hall. We'll just call it that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what it was from the Avernus campaign. The High Hall Cathedral.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Austin.
Zorax is as he's taking the efficient walk to where he needs to be. He is using which some of you guys have like seen this before, and you thought that's what he used on Chiron. But
He's not there.
I know, but he's actually not doing that. It looks like a much lesser form of that, and he's actually using Spare the Dying on any of the soldiers that he happens to pass by, who are obviously like need stabilizing in some way, shape, or form, and he's just a quick wave of the hand, and he's just keeping them afloat.
Okay. So you begin ushering them in, and you notice that there's an elderly man. He's on his knees, and he's laying over a soldier, and he's bellowing to Helm. Why did you forsake us? Why did you let this happen? First it was devils, and now it's mutants, and he's just raging and bellowing and praying to Helm to restore his grandson as you pass by. And then you hear in your voice, "Minion, I'm still hungry," as your blade kind of reaches into your mind and touches it just a bit. What do you do?
How many people are in view?
I would say quite a few, probably 3 or 4 dozen, as you're all kind of being ushered towards the High Hall Keep or Cathedral.
I walk over to the old man, and I ask him, "You're praying to your god, Helm."
Of course, he has forsaken us. Look
Then
at
why
this.
continue to pray? Why pray for something that won't save you?
He goes,
Because he's clearly Zorax is not very happy with these whole god
what
thing.
else? They're supposed to protect us, but I don't know. I don't have an answer. Why him? Why couldn't it have been me? Why? And he just kind of falls over the body and just continues pouting.
Is the grandson still alive? I can tell because I
No.
can tell if he's a living creature or not.
He's
He's not alive? Okay.
He's gone. You can see a big boulder hanging out with green ichor hanging out of his skull.
I talk to the man and I say, it's unfortunately, as I have learned in life, it is the mighty who are the ones to survive in war. And unfortunately, your son
How
had
can you
fallen
be
the
so
same fate.
cold?
When you grow up in Baldur's Gate and you watch so many people die for no reason, maybe that's why.
Be gone, you devil. And he
Irony.
right? Because you're angelic, right? You're an Asimir.
Yes.
So
I believe it was like fallen Azimar.
he is.
I am, but the point is still there.
Right. So he he kind of coddles his grandson and starts pulling him into one of the houses where he wraps him, and you continue on your way. Ian, your Merle is soaring over top. Tell us what's going through his mind and how he's trying to assist in the aid to lead the people to the cathedral.
Well, clearly he's trying to figure out what went wrong during the plane shift. Because clearly this is not the Forgotten Realms.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check, please.
Okay, investigation. I'm good at that.
I know you are.
Alright, 17.
So the only thing that you're able to consider or think about as you're kind of rethinking the process, you think that whatever element, the item you used Okay, you come up with 2 ideas. You think that either an item that you used wasn't appropriately tuned to the Sword Coast realm, or something in Avernus, in the chaotic energies might have some sort of mana influx might have corrupted the spell, but you're not exactly sure.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. So as you begin soaring over, you kind of are like a dog sheep herder herding people in, and you guys are able to kind of push your way through. Crowds are all around you in Elturel. They're all starting to gather around the keep. Soldiers are kind of spread sporadically. Many of them are severely injured. Those that aren't are trying to do what they can to help all the injured, ushering them away, treating wounds. You see clerics all about, channeling divine... channeling an energy to heal, but you hear whispers. Why doesn't everyone give me a perception check?
Oh, that's pretty good. I rolled a 19.
I also rolled a 19.
21.
Well,
All right, 12. So 12. All right, Cecil. So as Cecil
Great
is
start.
walking through, you're kind of trying to keep an eye on what's going on. You're very aware as everyone's being ushered in. You manage to blend in pretty good as you're looking around. You hear a couple different whispers of, "Where are we? What are these aliens?" In this thick accent that these people have, and you notice that they are in terrible. The situation is horrible, obviously, and as you make your way through, you hear the slightest, "How are we gonna get home?" and where are we, and what are these creatures? They're very confused. The rest of you, on the other hand, you guys, as you're passing in and out, you notice that people are some of the spellcasters are noting on how their spells are kind of acting a little erratic. They're not. Some are struggling to touch the divine power. Others are struggling to attack, to pull the cords of the weave. While they're still able to succeed, their spells may feel like they're not quite as effective, and there's just some strange stuff going on. And you hear it mostly coming from the healers who are trying to help the people as you guys kind of make your way through the high hall. So with that, everyone. This massive crowd is now formed outside the high hall. As you guys were making your way through, there's lots of reports coming in from the soldiers who are on the outskirts of the edge of the town. And as you guys reach I gotta figure out which room it is. Hang on here. High Hall Cathedral. So as you enter in towards the High Hall's grand foyer, with the 2 circular stairwells that lead up to another level, you see several officers. I would say a good half a dozen officers and military generals kind of sitting around Reya, and they're chatting back and forth, and she begins to shout to the crowd. Shit, did you guys ever decide what your heroic name was?
No.
Heroic name.
Your group name?
Oh yeah, because we're the combined group now.
Yeah, you needed a
Yeah.
name. If you don't come up with one by in a little bit, I'm gonna come up with one for you. All right, so she
We need
said.
to come up with one.
What's that?
We need to come up with one then.
All right.
Yeah.
So as you guys approach, she starts shouting out your name. She calls for, Garmor, Zorax. And she starts calling out not just your guys' names, but other heroes as well that have been battling in this ongoing war. So at this point, as you all kind of usher forward and move forward, you're in a circle of some of the most potent and powerful people in Elturel right now are in this kind of I would say it's kind of like a command center. It's very
Right.
impromptu. Everything is destroyed and broken, so it's about the best you're gonna get. There's a hole in the ceiling, about 12 of them. Be closer to the gods, I guess. And she says, she looks around at all of you guys. Everyone's damaged. They're beaten. You can see exhaustion upon everyone's face. She kind of tightens up her brow and she says, well, let's start with the obvious. For those of you that don't know, and you see a wizard is chanting a spell, and her voice becomes significantly louder and echoes through the entire chamber. And she says, let's start with the obvious. The Grand Duke is gone. That is 2 leaders you have been denied now within the 10-day. And I am sorry for that. He was taken off by some creature. I have already tasked a plan to try to recover him. But we've got bigger concerns at the moment. And you see at this point several of the generals are kind of whispering to her. And why doesn't everyone go ahead and give me a perception check to see if you can overhear what they're saying? Will, why don't you do it with advantage?
Okay.
I got a 16.
12.
16.
I got a 19.
All right,
There it
so
is.
I'm going to start with Will. So you overhear ever so slightly that one of the guards kind of whispers to her, I don't know if we can put together a scouting mission. We don't have enough soldiers left. We have to protect the city. Meanwhile, the rest of you overhear a slight whisper from one of the... hang on a second here. A very thin, lanky man. You don't recognize him. Clearly, he's a wizard or court wizard or spellcaster of some renown because he's wearing archmage robes. And he kind of whispers, and you guys just pick up a feint over the din of the crowds, armored shuffling and the crying and boohooing of everything, of all the people in the area. But you do pick up a whisper that says, there is an entire standing army surrounding Elturel outside. Whatever you do, be careful of how you deliver this. We don't need more panic. Do you understand? So clearly, whoever this person is has experience advising and leading these people. But he says, he stresses the fact that they are surrounded. The entire city is surrounded. She says,
quite something.
So she looks out and projects to everyone. She says, some of you may know, some of you may not. I know there's rumors going around. It should be clear that wherever we have arrived, there is an army outside our gates. We do not know if they are related to the creatures who assaulted us, but they appear to be soldiers in glimmering armor and a stalwart defense. Unfortunately, we have not gathered enough information at the time to make any decisive decisions. All that we do know is that if we're going to survive this, all of us, we need to come to an understanding. And I think that starts with understanding the people of wherever we are. My court mage suggests something went wrong with the teleportation, but he has no proof other than just conjecture. So, with that, I will take any suggestions on what everyone thinks the next step should be. We are all in this together, and it'll take the wisdom of all of us. And you start hearing some women and men start crying, is like, we need to kill them all before they kill us, and just you can kind of feel hear the fear in their voices. No, we got to rebuild the walls before they attack again. She kind of just waves them to calm them down. Some soldiers kind of usher them. She says, with that, those of you that have gathered closest, You are among some of the most powerful here. Along with that, hopefully is lots of wisdom. And I'm going to need all your insight. So I ask you, what should Elturel's next move be?
Dialogue with the army outside.
It would be pointless to try and fight all of them. We would lose.
Oh,
And
my
even-
take is, as long as they're not demons, that's a step up from where we were before.
True enough.
I agree with him.
So long as they're not demons, it's a step up. That's glorious. What did you say, Will?
I kind of hide my voice and just try to make it sound like somebody else and say, they could be friendly.
Give me a persuasion check.
Okay.
They could be friendly. I like that.
A 16.
You hear one person, "You fool, they already tried to kill us! They took my daughter!" And another person says, "If they were nice, why would they have attacked us?" Another person
First
says,
off, we don't even know if the army outside is the same idiots that attacked us inside, for starters.
so this kind of goes away, but some of the one of a bigger man, he has a big broken nose, big burly arms, very dark red skin. He looks like he might be some sort of mix between orc and Goliath. I mean, he's towering. He's got this
Just huge.
No wonder he survived the attack.
right. Building
Yeah,
fell
it's a
on him.
wonder.
He didn't even feel it.
That's
He
a weird
says-
combination.
He says, "What? Goliath and
orc.
orc?
Yeah.
What do you think the
Is it
other
really?
half and the half orc is?"
I mean,
Says who? Damn right, nobody. All right, so now I want to make a halfling, half orc, half halfling orc, because
Half
that would
orc
be
giant.
funny.
totally a thing in Pathfinder 2.
Right.
But
Anyway, so the big guy Burley says, "What kind of form does Cecil have? Is he pretty short, scrawny, stocky?"
He's a short, older man. Looks like he's walked through a lot of deserts for years.
So the big man with the broken nose stands up, or he steps forward. He says, "I agree with the tiny bald man. Words are important. There is no way we can fight an army of..." And he kind of looks around. "This is not a time for weapon." And you see his armor's all like tore up and shit. His weapons got chunks taken out of it. There's green ichor all over his body. He says, and then Reya, anybody else have any other additional comments to that?
If we are to seek dialogue with the unknown army, I suggest we bring a body of one of those things that attacked us to get an idea of what we faced last night.
Well, that is a very good, that is an excellent idea, Garmore. Sorry, I gotta give her the more. I got the big guy, now I gotta get the little. He says, "Well, I agree with you, Garmore. I will need somebody to lead up an investigation into this. The first thing I did notice, though, is we're going to run into an issue with the language. Was anybody able to recognize the language that they speak? If not, we need to find somebody who can help us learn to communicate. I say to you, is there any among you, scholars, wizards, anyone who is willing that can learn a language?"
I believe we have an old man who may be able to help. Is that what you're ensuing?
I'm pretty good with languages, yes.
Well, how good?
Yeah.
Yes.
I could do it.
Insight check.
How long would it take you to learn this? Go ahead and give an insight check.
Why not? It's not like he's rolling to deceive you.
16. Dang it.
He's being honest. There's no hesitation in his voice or anything like that would suggest that he's being dishonest. Sounds like he can do it. So, how long do you think it would take for you to learn an entire language, and at least at the very minimum enough for us to begin communicating?
Well, I know a lot of languages, so I could probably do it in a month.
She takes a deep breath, and you kind of feel an exasperation kind of leave her, like, "Ugh, that is very long. How are we
I can
going
at
to
the
stay?
very Zorax raises his hand. I can at the very least understand them and decipher if they are friend or foe. But being able to respond to them would be much more difficult.
She
I have
turns,
the ability to comprehend languages, if you will.
She turns. Okay, so you can understand, but you can't.
You cannot, as far as I'm aware, you cannot actually speak back to them.
Right, you can
You
just
can
understand.
comprehend it.
So
Yeah.
she turns and says, "Zorax, and I'm sorry, sir with the big beard. What is your name?"
Yes. I'm Cecil.
Just Cecil, like Cher?
Well, Cecil Dune.
Cecil
I-
Dune?
Yes.
Then I have a request of you and Zorax. Would you head a team into understanding and making contact and communications with those outside our gates?
I could do that.
Okay.
All right. Now, that's part of the plan. That's partly done. I will give you guys I'll give you each a contingent to work with of soldiers, and civilians that are willing to help. And she kind of nudges one of the officers and says, and he kind of shakes his head and he says, "I'll help gather the resources that you guys need." And he says, hang on a second. Do-do-do.
Just out of curiosity, DM, can I make a perception check to see if I would notice Chiron, Joram, and Raven?
Yes.
What is with this dice tonight? That's a 12.
There's a lot of people in here. You do spot Joram though. All right, so with that, the guy. For those that don't know, they had two different character parties that end up all going to Elturel or going to Avernus to save Elturel, so they're kind of all here, which is gonna could make for some fun. Yeah, I ended up not having them play two characters at once. So with that, the stocky fellow that offered some assistance quickly says, "Well, come with me," and he kind of waves his hand, waves you guys over, Cecil and Zorax. Come with me. Let us get you your contingent. So I'm using a random generator, and I swear to God, this guy's name is Eminem.
Interesting.
We have to keep it, right?
Oh yes, we do. So he's I can't even say that with a straight face. You look at him. He's got red hair, soft hazel eyes, and a flat nose. And he says he's got kind of dusty but fine raiment of jewelry. He says, "My name, my name is Eminem. My name is
It must
Eminem."
be short for something, right?
And then he rattles off some like long name. He says, "Everyone calls me Eminem for short."
Oh, fair enough.
Now that you're closer, you do notice that he's got pointy ears. They're not quite as steep as an elf's, but you can tell that there's some heritage there. And he says, "Well, why don't we head down into the let's find us an empty room and start our investigation. If you'll join me." And he kind of just waddles away without really a care in the world to you guys. 1 second. How do you guys kind of react to him? What's your thoughts as you see this guy and he's ushering you away?
My name?
The heck does this guy think he is?
It's his
I hope he's
sword.
strong. I hope he's as strong as he looks.
All right, he's gonna be helping with you with the language barrier, right?
Yes.
All right, so with that, they kind of get ushered off. I assume you guys follow him?
Yes.
Next, she turns to the audience again and says, and another thing we must discuss. For those of you who haven't noticed, as she looks up and there's a new skylight, she says, Elturel is falling apart. The soldiers cannot rebuild our defenses alone. We need engineers. Is there anyone out there who is willing, who is able to assist us in trying to put in a plan to rebuild, assuming that we are not attacked and struck down?
Engineers, you say?
You get a little gnome kind of wobbles up. She says, I can do it. I can do some stuff like that. Look at my blueprints. And she pulls out of her pants this big giant thing of blueprint. Though I'm going to be honest, I usually only fix wagons, but I think I can. What's the difference between a wagon and a wall? Whether it's wood or cement, I say. I think I can help out. The name's Fairy.
Garmor's passive insight is 20, by the way.
Okay. And what are you expecting me to reveal? Whether she's being dishonest, lying, or that her name isn't Fairy?
Being honest, generally.
Okay. Well, I will let you know when your passive perception picks up that somebody's being a pile of shit or being dishonest. But thank you for reminding me.
Incompetence?
Right, incompetence.
Well, there's probably going to be a lot of that around.
Right.
Inside the party
yes.
at that.
Well, that's one volunteer. Fairy, you said. She says, "Is there anybody else anybody else that would be willing to join her team to help rebuild the city?"
I have no objections when I'm not doing some adventuring crap.
Yes. Merle, I've seen your cleverness. You'll be a great for this team. He nudges. She looks over and another person says, "This is my structural engineer. This is our structural structure. This is our structural. This is our engineer." His name is Osim. You look, he's a big burly dwarf with big green eyes and one giant braided beard. He says, I can fix the walls. Again.
Been doing it for years.
But we're gonna need some labor. And he says, I'm gonna need your guys' help. We'll get some of these civilians involved. All right, and that's Merle is with her. Next we have Garmor and just Garmor, right?
Yep.
All right.
Back.
Next, I'm gonna need a team of medics, people to assist in restoring the people to health due to plague, illness. Is there anybody out there with said skills? I know we have clerics around town. We have clerics around Elturel, but they've been complaining of issues with the magic and are on the weaker side. Most just acolytes.
Garmor raises his hand. I can assist in healing.
All right then, wonderful. With your aid and assistance, let me do something. With your assistance, we should be able to get this put up a medical tent and start administering aid into those who need it. So I'll need you and Feli to. I didn't introduce her, or I didn't introduce her, did I?
No.
A halfling kind of waddles up. She's got a staff taller than her, and she says, "Well, I can do it." And she's very aged, right? She says, "I can help. I've seen your magic, son. You're not bad. Let's go take care of these people." And she's kind of walking away. She rubs her shoulder. I'm getting too old for this shit. And so with that, she continues dishing out commands and orders. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have each of you roll checks to reflect your leadership and knowledge in helping guide these people in success. And so we'll go person to person. We're going to, and you're going to tell me a little bit about what you think is the best, or if you would rather me just narrate it for you, that's okay as well. I don't want you to feel like you have to just all of a sudden become a master engineer, but kind of give your ideas of what you think you're going to do first. She continues passing out assignments. She does assign several of the meteor people, specifically the really big dude with the axe, to putting together a militia with any of the people that are well enough to be armed and fight. Even if they're not going to join the soldiers, giving them and teaching them weapons is the next best step, is what kind of a lot of the discussion is about. Do you guys have any questions before we move on into that? Anything you want to ask Reya? All that stuff.
The bright side of this is I might not be an engineer. My character is.
Right. That's how it works.
Yeah.
What
What was the name of the healer?
Felly.
NPC?
Felly. Yep, she's a halfling.
Right.
Druid.
So I'll get to that later. I don't think Garmer has any questions for Reya.
Okay.
Other than asking any of the divine or other spellcasters who can potentially scry on Grand Duke Ravengard to see if he's alive.
So you want to ask if they have anybody available to do that? Is that what it sounds like you're asking?
Yes. Garmor does not have that prepared, unfortunately.
Right. That is something we are looking into right now. A lot of our court wizards are trying to gather components. Most were expended between the battle with the devils and then on to these things as a big guy just drops up what's left of one of these green bugs inside. Didn't you ask for one of these? Yes, quite right.
How intact does that look?
It's missing a head.
Okay, that's fair enough.
All right, so going around, anybody else have any other questions for Reya? This is your time to ask any questions regarding what has happened in the city right now before we move forward. And what's led up to this moment, maybe what are the next plans of action?
I do volunteer what my suspicions are for why the plane shifting did not work as intended.
And another wizard says, "Oh, quite right. If I recall, now I'll be honest, I don't have the skill enough to cast the plane shift spell, but to my recall, you needed an item that's attuned to the particular plane, if I'm correct."
Correct.
I can't say that I know what happens if you use one that's not appropriately tuned.
I assume it goes to the plane it's tuned from.
But what happens if it's not attuned to a land? We have much questions to discuss. We will definitely think on this, and he scribbles some notes down.
First off, how the heck can an item not be attuned to a land? It all has to come from somewhere.
That's a good question. The court wizard kind of stands up. He's got. You realize you thought it was a man, but it's actually a rugged but firm, athletic woman or female, and says, "Well, that is quite right. But what does it take to attune an item? Is an item automatically attuned, or does it require some sort of special ritual? These are things we must look into the library to understand, because unfortunately, I do not have the knowledge as I am now." As she looks around,
Are you seriously asking an artificer how attunement works?
I'm just saying that we need to educate ourselves because of the issues that happened in Avernus. We do not quite have the power that we once did, or the experience. And Reya just kind of nudges her back. Yes, we will get that in due time. Our priority right now, so long as everyone agrees, is to take care of Elturel's people, to reinforce our defenses. She looks over at where Cecil and Zorax were walking away, and most important, establish a line of communication before another wave of enemies tries to strike us down again. I will open the floor to any questions. You hear a bunch of shouting and anger yells about what they should do and how they're handling it poorly, and she tries to calm them down. There's a little bit of back and forth. There's a very big tear between the people blaming the soldiers for not protecting them better, and for people blaming Thavius Krieg, as word is starting to get around that he might have been responsible for what happened to Elturel to begin with. And a lot of confusion, a lot of misinformation is being tossed around. And Reya go ahead.
You said they're saying something about the soldiers?
Yes.
Oh no.
You see this very well-dressed, imagine the Monopoly guy, but his stuff's all bloody and covered in ichor. He says, "My, yes, I cannot believe it. If the soldiers would have done a better job, we totally would not have to deal with this."
Is he standing right now?
Oh, he is.
Zorax glares at him, and with the command spell, he says, "Sit, mortal."
He adjusts his glasses, or his monocle.
And
what does this say? Oh, he does say. He fired a 2.
Yeah,
and you do that, and he sits like a dog. And he adjusts his glasses, and in mid-adjustment, he drops like a dog. And he goes, "Oh, my.
And then
Maybe
he walks
you
up to him,
belong
he holds
outside
him
the
by
gates."
He holds him by the scruff of his shirt and lifts him into the air. "If you say one more thing about the soldiers who saved your pathetic life, I'll end you myself here."
Several soldiers around, half of them kind of cheer, and the other half are like, "No, you can do better," and start pulling
please.
you off. He says, "We have more important things to deal with." You kind of hear a lot of that. And Reya says, "Enough! Every 12 hours, we will hold, or every day, we will hold open center forum just like this to keep everyone informed. But in the meantime, I need everyone to get to work. Tend to the wounded, plug in any wells." All right.
Hope that man pissed his pants.
Prevent any other alien creatures from getting into Elturel till we can figure out this situation. With that, you are all dismissed. And everyone's kind of grumbling and scattering about, and you each kind of go your own ways with each of your people. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the table, and we're going to kind of discuss what each of you are doing, because this is going to take place over a few, remember he said it would take him a month to learn. So we're going to do a few things in between there. You can expect this to be very roleplay heavy tonight. It's not like the last one that was all combat. So I want to keep that in mind. At any point, if there's something you feel your character can add to what the other person is, that can be something that's discussed and then shared through that time frame, right? So if the first one is a week, you can say, "Oh, hey, I talked to him about this, and I think this is a good idea." So you share that information. So you guys can share your thoughts and ideas across, even though technically you're working independently. Does that make sense?
Right.
All right. With that, we will start with Zorax and Cecil. You are in at the edge of the town, and you've set up this kind of temporary workshop, but it doesn't look any different than the rest of the buildings at this point because everything's destroyed.
Yeah.
It's basically a tent, and M looks at you. I'm not going to say that because I can't say it with a straight face. M turns to you and says, "Well, we've been making some pretty good progress. It looks like we've got a nice start. Cecil, your work has been absolutely astounding. And combine Zorax with your ability to kind of understand what they're shouting and yelling at us from way down there. And now, mind you, when Elturel appeared, it didn't appear flat. It like dropped from the sky on top of this city. So you guys at the edge, you can actually now, the last couple of days, you can see the damage. You guys have literally crushed an entire city size worth of buildings. And you're starting to really get an understanding of what kind of happened.
And how much trouble we're in.
Yes. Meanwhile, this entire army has not approached much, but they have sent a envoy. One envoy has come in this first week to approach you, and
Of course, within this time frame, Zorax has gone out and made sure that every 3 days a diet has been sated.
so that's
After the
funny.
first appearance, he's like, "That's not happening again."
Did I roll a perception or something to recognize that since we're working together?
That he's leaving regularly.
Yeah.
Oh, you know that he left. He goes. He does whatever he wants.
I have to go. I
Okay.
simply just say I need to take care of something, and I take a quick little detour out.
So the question is
Alright.
would your character have followed him?
Yes.
Right.
Is that what you're at saying?
Yes.
Give me
Oh,
an
you would've followed me.
investigation
Oh,
check.
boy.
All right.
Also, I would like to point out to the DM that I am not so heartless as to kill civilians for this stupid
Yes.
sword. I'm gonna feed it a fucking rat. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
no,
hate
I
this
got it.
thing.
I got
Okay.
it.
I got a 13.
All right, so you managed to stay out of sight, but there was a couple times where you swear that he could sense you. And so
How far away are you trying to stay behind me? That's a good question. Let's ask that.
Just a legit question.
What's the?
enough to be safe.
Yeah.
Is there
How
something
much is safe?
like
Just enough.
what are you getting at? Give him mechanics.
60 feet. Are you staying within or outside
he-
of 60 feet? That is an important question.
It's an in question. He doesn't know that, so the question is how close would you get? I would say as an
How close do you need to be to hear somebody? Because that's about all closer I would
oh
get.
yeah, you would get close
no,
enough
then
to
you-
just watch and listen. So I would say he would stay out of range.
Okay.
He's very careful about it. You do spot him every so often, using his sword to cut like innocent little creatures. In the process. And he does this every so often, like every 3 days, was it, or is it every day? I don't remember.
It's
What is
every
it?
3 days.
It's every 3
I'm
days.
not beating this thing much.
I just
It gets
imagine he's
pissy
like
every time I
squeezing
piss at it.
the life out of him. Anyways, so you do catch on to what he's doing, and that he needs to, for some reason, he needs to cut his blade on blood. So you do gather that information. With that, you guys have put together partial language. An envoy has been coming. You've been able to put some words together. Imagine it's like a cell phone call with the words going in and out. So you can get some of it, but you haven't got most. There seems to be a general understanding of something with the name Boros Legion is all you've gotten. The term dangerous. Go ahead and give me investigation checks, both of you, to determine how fleshed out it is for this conversation we're about to have. Meanwhile, while they're doing that, during this time, have you guys approached at all to take any approach into aiding with the discovery of the language, or are you checking in, or are you just focusing on what it is you do?
I'm gonna use one of my talents on this. Is it a? Do you guys know if it's a D8 on these or is it a D6?
D6.
For the shrewd investigator stuff?
I'm pretty sure the add-up points? Or,
Yeah.
Yeah, the what do they call it? Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I think they're a D6. I could be wrong, though.
Depends on the talent.
Oh, they are
Does it?
different. Then you'll have to
Okay.
Google it or look up the file.
Yep, I'm about to that
Like
now.
for example, like the human aptitude is a D10, while very academic is a D12.
For those who don't know, we're using a couple different books off of DM's Guild. The one specifically they're talking about is character option talents. They're basically like mini feats that let them boost something, and they chose to boost their skills. So they get an extra die, kind of like Bardic Inspiration, I guess, that they can use so many a day.
Pretty much.
Which
The human aptitude I have, for example, I can add D10 to-
Wow.
Aptitude, for example, I can add 1d10 once per day to any result.
Pretty good.
As bringing academic, I can add a d12 3 times a day to a roll, but it has to be Arcana, History, Investigate, Nature, or Persuasion. So.
Wow.
Okay, so what's the I didn't get any answer on whether you're adding anything to the investigation at all. What did you guys get?
As far as my investigation roll, I got an 8.
Okay.
I got a 25.
All right.
Cool.
So
Pretty good.
so basically so this let me get a good description here because I want you to really get this in your mind of how these soldiers how they look. So one of the people that approaches, he always approaches on foot, and he's clad in shining armor, and you can sense a presence of very righteous superiority. Right? He stands tall as he approaches. He's got a commanding presence, clearly some sort of military or law enforcement of sorts. You're not sure what. And they appear to be kind of the people who are the standing army as far as you've been able to tell the last few days. He approaches again. You guys get out all your little notes and everything. You got, how long does your spell last for comprehend languages?
It lasts. Let me see real quick. It lasts 1 hour.
Okay. So
imagine Zorax here is thinking of like, this man, he smells like righteousness.
I hate him. Oh my god.
So
Someone who doesn't care about themselves? What is this? I
So,
can smell the good off him.
as he approaches, both Cecil and Zorax, you bust out your pen and paper, and they approach, and you start this whole charade again. He brings some new objects. He brings a hammer, for instance, and points to it, and he says something. Now, Zorax, you guys understand that it's a hammer, and you take the notes of what it is. So you're slowly building a vocabulary between them. And he kind of spits out enough. By the end of the do you have anything you want to do in far how you interact with him? Otherwise, we're going to keep going.
I am going to use Divine Sense on him to see, I guess, because I guess I will. Yeah. Divine Sense, as what it says here. Let me scroll back up to it. The presence of strong evil registers on your senses like a noxious odor, and powerful good rings like heavenly music in your ears.
As you, yes, that's what you hear. A heavenly ring just emanates from this guy. He clearly
Total opposite of him.
He's clearly, yes, he's clearly
Yeah,
a champion of good, as far as you can, your divine sense can tell. And so you guys kind of continue this back and forth, and he says in a rough voice that you can kind of put together. He says, "You have killed many in your travels. Why is it why have you come?" And so now you and Cecil are trying to kind of communicate to each other. You know kind of what he means, but you're still sputtering to speak back to him. So you have to figure out what the two of you guys want to say, and then who's going to say it back. Basically saying, why have you come and why have you killed so many?
So I whisper to Zorax, like, you know way more about why you guys came than I do. I'll let you explain, and I'll try to help.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Also, when I used Divine Sense, was there anything that seemed consecrated or desecrated on him?
No.
Any particular weaponry
no
that
holy
seemed...
weapons or magical weapons, if that's what you're looking for.
Good, because I was going to be a little worried about that.
This guy looks exactly like the entire army that's outside your doorstep.
Okay. I want to relay that this city came from Avernus, and we should have returned to a different plane of existence, but it had failed.
All right, I need you. So, Cecil, you're trying to kind of help him out. You're going through your book. You're flipping back and forth.
Yeah.
and you give him kind of some words, and it's so funny because you know what you want to say,
Yes, but I can't.
but you can't
literally
say it. So what I need you guys to do.
No, that means dog, not that. The other one.
So I'm not exactly sure the right check for this, so I'm going to go with insight, because you're trying to put everything together and you're trying to. Well, it might be just intelligence, not insight.
I wonder if it would be like. No, I could see the argument for insight.
That's-
Only reason being is because I'm trying to like infer with like
Yes,
body language
yes.
behind it, even.
Plus, even
Or-
with your spell,
yeah.
you know what he's saying, but what you're trying to say isn't coming through. So your ability to convey what you're trying to say. So I'm going to
could
go ahead
see
with
insight.
Let's go with insight for now, and because Cecil's helping, Cecil, why don't you roll a d20, and you can share. You'll have basically advantage, but you can choose either one of the rolls, either Cecil's roll or your roll.
My roll was a 13.
I got a 25.
Well, holy cow! This old man does not need languages to convey his point.
So, so as you kind of try to explain, you came from another plane. One word comes out of his mouth, and you have no idea what the word means. No, that's not true.
I was gonna say I know the literal meaning.
You know the literal meaning. He says, with almost a question, Planeswalker, and yeah, he looks at you and he says, Planeswalker, are you a Planeswalker? Are you all Planeswalkers? And his you see both give me an insight check.
Okay, another one. Woo!
Back to
Yeah,
back.
this one's a little bit better. 18.
16.
So as soon as he says, "Are you all Planeswalkers?" You see beads of sweat run down, and his body noticeably starts to breathe heavy. He's getting nervous, but he's trying to hold his composure.
Knowing what I know, that would be very harrowing to have a bunch of planeswalkers, a whole city of them just appear.
Right.
I
You should probably
I just-
convey. that
I
we're not
assume,
going to
yeah, I was gonna
attack
say,
them.
I assume that I'm aware that we are probably not what these things are, considering he seems so.
How would you know? You technically
Well,
came to a different plane.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
What is
Right.
a Planeswalker? Somebody that jumps
Maybe
between planes,
I
right?
will ask him, what is a planeswalker? If-
Give me
to the best of
give
my
me that
ability.
insight check again. And once
Yeah,
again,
that wasn't
Cecil,
airplane wings, clearly.
Cecil, as you're helping him out, go ahead and give me a roll 2, and you can take the highest of the two. And I
We'll
know it
just
sounds
roll.
weird, but there's a reason why I'm doing it this way, and I
Yeah.
can't tell you.
That's fine.
I just want everyone to know that's watching. I know that's not how Advantage normally works. There's a reason for it. You'll just never know.
You are probably gonna take your roll because I rolled a nat 1.
Yeah,
I have
I
plus
got
5.
another 25.
All right. So with his help, you're kind of able to come to and he says, so you're basically saying what? That you're not planeswalkers, or you are? What are you trying to convey to him again?
Where I'm trying to ask, what is a
Peaceful.
planeswalker? But obviously in a peaceful manner, like I'm inquiring. What is a planeswalker to him?
Peaceful inquiry.
Planeswalkers are powerful wizards who can travel between worlds. I've been told that there are many worlds beyond that of Ravnica. You have come
That's a
from such a
name.
world.
I shake my head. We are, and try and say again, we are not planeswalkers.
You have come from another plane, have you not?
I shake my head, yes, but, and again, I try to convey, we are not planeswalkers.
All right. So this discussion kind of goes on and on for a little while. You finally do convince him that you don't think you're this thing he calls a planeswalker.
Right.
And the night kind of falls to an end. You guys have made great progress between you and Cecil. This first week has been super productive. You're really getting ahead of schedule at the moment. With that, we move to the construction of the fort, the buildings, and the healing. Let's go down the. Who's next on the initiative? Was
Comprehend
Garmor.
languages is so nice. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So Garmor, you and Feli are you've set up this tent in the temple. Yoink. I think the temple of it's called the Temple of the Highest, I guess. That's funny. So you have set up this this kind of hospital, I guess, in the Temple of the Highest, and Feli is there, and she looks at you. I need you to go ahead and give me a medicine check, please, and a charisma check.
Before I do that, I would like to cast Enhance Ability on myself, granting me Owl's Wisdom.
Okay. You don't got to spell in the slots for that. We'll just assume you're constantly using that to because this is taking place over a week, right? So we'll assume you would constantly use that. So just include that in your bonus.
What was it? What were the rules?
I need a medicine check and I need a charisma. Just straight charisma. I don't really know what else to use for like leadership and guidance. I think that's pretty much it.
My medicine is a 16, and as for my charisma, that is a 5.
Okay, so
I'm terrible.
That's okay. So Philae turns to you. He says, I appreciate you allowing me to. Wait, which character was that? That was the halfling. Okay. It's probably best that you let me handle the guiding of people. You will not. Your words are indecisive and unclear, and it's just confusing too many people. Do you understand? So,
yes.
I do want to note that I do appreciate that you were able to discover that that foreign disease, whatever it is. I don't know that I would have been able to identify that. What she's referencing is called a.
Oh wait, I have an herbalism kit. Darn it.
So you've actually discovered that the ichor that's coming from these bodies has mixed in with some of the water supply and has been causing a plague that you've coined the sewer plague, and has been starting to run its course through not only the civilians but through some of the soldiers as well. I need one more medicine check to determine how effective you treat it. Determines how many resources Merle's gonna have to fix shit.
Can I use my herbalism kit?
Yes.
I do also want to point out for the record that I have spell storing item, and I've been defaulting on my character sheet at least for cure wounds, so
okay.
I have no objection to stepping in every now and go, you're cured, you're cured, you're cured, you're cured. Shake it off.
I got that.
You're cured.
Okay, so I'm gonna fit that in right here then.
I rolled a 23.
A 23. So you've done a pretty good job of suppressing the sewer plague. You've managed to gather enough resources, but you are running low. And you've tried to convince people to be in quarantine, wear some face masks so they don't spread it. You've got half the population thinks you're full of shit. The other half is mad at the other half who's not doing it.
I don't know if it actually work out that way. That seems unrealistic.
Right? Everyone would avoid it like the plague, wouldn't they? Merle walks in once every day or so. He manages to walk in and aid you with it. As you're sitting there with a patient, she's very elderly, and she's getting these severe fatigue and terrible cramps all over her body. Her muscles are tightening. You immediately identify it as the sewer plague. Go ahead and roll me a d20 and tell me if it's odd or even.
Scared because of my rolls tonight.
50-50.
And I will tell you, Garmor, anybody who's not cooperating, tell them if they don't cooperate, they will be talking to Garmor or Merle. You do not want to talk to Garmor or Merle.
What'd you get? Odd or even?
Even.
All right. So fortunately, you do have some spell slots left to. I think you do you have a way to cure disease? I don't remember.
Let's see. Let me look at the specifics of the restoration spells because I have them
Lesser
both-
restoration would work. Lesser
Yes.
restoration would be the spell.
Yes.
All right, so it's the end of the day. Merle Bronson just comes in to do his daily chit chats as you're holding her. You only have one use left for the day. And you're holding this woman as she's got the sewer plague. She's not wearing any protection. And then there is another gentleman, much older, much more elderly, that seems to be experiencing the same symptoms. And he is begging that he should be saved. He says, "You should heal me first. All she does is steal from us. She doesn't even do anything. Don't waste your power." And that's when Merle walks in. So I don't know how Merle feels about this situation.
Being an idiot, shut up and take the treatment that you're prescribed and get back to work.
Oh, God. I can't. You see his body's like all like cramped together. His muscles are contorted and twisted. His fingers are bending all cockeyed.
Shut up.
No, you'll heal me, right, Garmore, sir? I've heard about it. You've been able to restore so many people. It hurts so bad. Give it
hang
to
on,
me, not him.
Is this the woman who's trying to speak with me?
As a dude who said
They're
heal me
both.
first.
One saying
Oh.
heal me first while you're holding this other woman.
Speak to the one I was initially treating. Is it true that you've been stealing from others?
No, sir, I would never do that. You can tell her voice trembles and goes an octave higher than it has. And you instantly tell that the subtle changes in her intonation and face clue you in that she's being not fully honest with you.
She hears a mixture of a sigh and a
it hurts
growl.
so bad. It hurts so bad. Help me. Please, the woman outside, she wouldn't help me. She said you could help me. Please. Her body is like, both of their bodies are just kind of like ceasing up and like twitching and stuff. Please, Garmore. I've been waiting for 3 days for. It hurts so bad.
Hang
Don't
on.
forget, Garmor
DM, I have a
has
question.
inflex 20.
Could I potentially cast Lesser Restoration at a higher level? It's gonna be the same effect. It's just I have to use a higher spell level slot to use
So
it.
the reason for the roll is because this is at the end of the day, and
Okay.
I was determining how many spell slots you had left. You either had none or you had enough, and you have one.
Oh,
So it was either none and they were both screwed, or you could save one.
what if
Now,
it was a natural
you
20? 'Cause that's
could-
what I rolled.
It was just an odd or even. Either you had a spell slot or you didn't. You've been healing people all day. It's exhausting work being a healer. Everyone's in the same boat. The difference is sure, she could probably wait till tomorrow, but she might not make it. Neither of them. That's the risk. That's the decisions you've been having to make for the last several days. You have to choose who lives and who dies. You have to look them in the eye.
Why do you have to put that on me?
You
She's a
fucking
healer.
rolled a healer. What the fuck, man?
I was saying, nurses do this every day.
Every day. So she looks at you and she says, Garmore, please. I've been waiting in line and the pain is just too much. And you hear in the bag, she's a thief and doesn't deserve your treatment. How about those of us that help? I grow crops. Who's going to feed these people if we all die? If I die, one less farmer. He's being a really dick about it, but he's got a point. All she does is steal. She doesn't provide anything good to Elturel. Please don't listen to him. Please heal me.
You have been very dishonest with me. when you
No,
came
please don't. I beg you. She's like gripping onto your shoulders and pulling on your jacket and holding you close, and it's hard with her little feeble arms. She's only got a couple fingers clawing at it. Please. I beg you, it hurts so bad. I don't know that I'll make it if you don't.
I'm gonna look at what I can do with the herbalism kit.
One of the clerics walks up and says, If you won't do something and make this decision, I'll make it for you. We can't help everybody. And she draws a slight dagger and holds it in her side. We have to help those that can.
Away, cleric. Your aid will not be necessary.
She slips it away just as quickly as it appeared. Fine. But we have to save those who we can. Look at her. She's already almost dead.
I'm afraid there's nothing much I can do.
So based on your medicine check, you can tell that she probably won't make it another day. She's got 5 levels of exhaustion. The other guy's got 4. Please. Garmor. They've told me you help people. All of you are here to help us, save us from these monsters. But I just want the pain to stop. All right, I needed a scissor, bro. Let's go.
In this instant, he's thinking back to an almost similar situation back with his village before he began traveling. He helped people. They formed from civilization in general. But one decided to form an agreement with his tribe, but it turns out that they were nothing but deceiving cutthroats and tried to not attack, more like sack his village of any gold or weapons or lightweight armors that his people have forged, but they didn't get much headway. But a few people of his tribe did die, all from cutthroat thieves.
I love it.
And his tone just immediately goes dark.
Please, with your healing hands, take away my pain.
I'm afraid there's not much I can do.
No, don't say that. No.
I gesture guards to kick the woman away into quarantine.
Don't let me die.
And I gesture the cleric who had the mean farmer come in and take healing. Before I administer the last of my spells, I say, "Are you done,
Guards,
DM?"
hurry up.
I was gonna say that charade's been going on for quite a while, my man. Come on.
Is he? So what's the plan?
He has any guards that were nearby at the tent to escort the woman and put her into isolation, and have the mean farmer, if you will, receive the treatment. But I'm not gonna roleplay it by script, but I will say that he would strike a bargain with the farmer, be kinder to others in the future, or else there will be no treatment for you in the future.
All right, well, I'll make sure you get some food.
All right, and I use the last of my spells.
And with that, Merle sees this entire thing go on. How does he react?
Yeah, it's a bold decision, all things considered.
All right.
Pick and choose. Sometimes that ain't easy.
And then as she's being escorted out, you see the other cleric walk out with him. And then, all right, so moving on to Merle and what's her name? Fairy?
Like that.
So you guys got a good outline of a plan. She has some good engineering designs. You are able to kind of add your own input. Why don't you go ahead and give me an intelligence check and a persuasion check, or a charisma check, please?
Intelligence check, right?
Yep.
Ooh, that ain't good. See here. Any chance I can use brilliant academic for it, even though it doesn't say intelligence check? It's fine either way. It's fine.
Yeah, you can. Go ahead. You're a
Okay.
brilliant academic. It makes sense. Let's do it.
Okay, so let me see here. We got several crap for starters. So I'm trying to compensate as many ways as possible because this is
Do what
important.
you gotta do.
Alright, so let me see. 5 plus... Yes, 8 plus 7, 15 plus 6, 21. And because overkill, I'm going to throw in, what's that thing called? That's of Genius. Which makes it 25 altogether, I think.
All right. So between you and Fairy, she looks at you and says, "You got a mighty sharp mind on you there, son. I'm really impressed. And trust me, that doesn't happen very often. So I'll tell you what. These plans we've drawn up, they're gonna have to do. I think it was really clever of you using some of the run-down buildings as excess building material for the walls. That was very clever. I wouldn't have thought of that, not without your support. It
We
looks
don't
like
have much choice. We've got to use the material that we do got, and let's be real here. We don't have any conjuration wizards. We don't have any force domain clerics. I don't have access to the fabricate spell yet, although it's on my to-do list, but that's another topic unto itself.
Yeah, I hear that's a really good one. I knew a gal who took that once. She could touch something and forge a nice building out of it. It was quite awkward. Didn't feel right because you didn't use your hands, you know? But anyways, so it looks like we got some really good ideas here. It looks like we've torn down the whole third. Let me figure. I gotta go look at this map. Here we go. We
Let's
were
be
able
real
to.
here. My men, that's not going to do much good, and also let's be real here too. We don't exactly need all these buildings anymore because, well, people are dead.
Well, and I think it was. Some people would think
That
it was.
is
Some people would
very
think it's
true.
distasteful, but I thought it was pretty clever using the grand cemeteries, tombs, and stuff for reinforcement as well. But we still have a really big problem. I think that we're gonna have to change up our work strategy a little bit, and we're gonna have to abandon the eastern half of Elturel. We only, even with all the building constructions, we won't have enough material to build a wall around the entirety. So we're gonna have to abandon the eastern half. What do you think about that?
Well, sadly that makes sense because, as I said before, it's not like we need all the buildings anymore.
Yeah.
This is all we redistribute the local population. That should be able to help compensate a little bit.
I think that once we get all we've got looks like about 2,000 civilians helping us out right now, marching over, carrying supplies over. Looks like the front gate has already been is being reinforced. A lot of good progress. Do you think that we should tear down Torm's Reach and Torm's Blades? Those are the bridges that connect the two halves. Once we're finished, or do you think it would be better just to leave it and barricade them?
Oh, barricade might be a little bit more simple at the moment, but we don't have a river going under there right now either.
That's true. Well, all right then. At that point, a uniformed officer approaches, and he says,
Do we still have that? What's his name? That one idiot warlock that keeps doing his crap.
No, he's gone. He did not make it.
If knowing him, he probably wandered off somewhere.
Or died. We'll see. Maybe you'll see him later. All right, so a uniformed officer shows up and says, we ran into an issue with some of the construction plans. With all the wells plugged up, we are running out of water. We need to come up with a way to, replace the water source in the city. Farmers are doing what they can, but this area wasn't made for farming. With all of it being scorched from Avernus, we're in some trouble. Do you have any ideas?
Well, let's see. Those aren't exactly connected to an actual well in the first place.
Well, they were. They're not anymore.
Exactly,
So-
because we plane shifted and all that crap.
Yeah, and you, well, it already had plane shifted from the one world, so the well that was there was only holding enough of what was already kind of stored in the water. It's not being refilled on anyway. The other issue that you're running into now is that with the water depleted, there needs to be another source of drinking water.
Also, there ain't no river nearby here.
This
well,
would put Garmor in a tough spot.
I know, because he has create water, doesn't he?
Yes.
Okay.
We lose Austin.
Yeah, he'll come back. No,
Nope,
that's,
that's
Ian. So, well, Ian's the one I was talking to. What the hell?
Whoops. Ian and Will are messed.
It'll fix when he
Okay.
puts his
I'm
camera on.
here.
No, it moves out. He's looking at the screen capture that moves everyone around.
Oh, yeah, that'll get messed up.
Yeah, when they
Um,
come in, your camera's not on. And I want to wait for him because I've got to finish up with him, and then we'll move to all of you being reunited after 2 weeks.
Create and destroy water is a first level spell.
Yep.
And
Okay, I
plant-
think Discord crashed on me there for a second there.
That's okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. Well, good to have you back. Goodbye.
and plant
Welcome
growth
back.
is a third level spell.
Right. All right. We'll get into that in a second here.
Anyway, the only solution I can think of is to try to dig more whales, hope for the best.
All right. Well, that's about the best idea I got, I think. So I'll see if we can locate some farmers and somebody that might have the tools. Do you know of any?
Well, worst case scenario, we might have to redistribute some of the wall building forces to dig some wells, because we gotta need those, otherwise we're all dead.
That's a really good point. So why don't we get on that? I need based on your intelligence check, is going to determine the strength of the wall and the structural integrity. Should there be another attack?
Okay.
I want you to know that because I want you to write that number down. What I'm gonna write it down too. What was it again?
25.
25.
And I managed to pull that off by rolling a 3 on the d20.
Oh Jesus. So that's basically gonna turn. You've just set up the defenses of this, or working on the defenses of this city against another raid. All right. With that, we get back around. Another week has passed of kind of the same stuff. The Garmor and Fale, you've kind of expanded your operation. Most people are covered. You still got an issue with the sewer plague. It's still getting people. It's still spreading. Quarantine has been your focus. You've also broken out with the farmers. The young farmer, Jack, is what his name was. You've been working with him, using some of your magic to create a new area where the where the cemetery is been reinstated to farmlands.
Oh, that's a weird way of flavoring the use of plant growth.
No, just there's no buildings there, so it's the best place and easiest place for a field.
And plenty
True.
of fertilizer, it's already in place.
And
Yeah,
plenty of
extra
fertilizer.
That's what I was thinking.
I will say this, DM. Where is plant growth? Where did it go? Okay, here it is. I do have it prepared, but to enrich the land, I have to cast this spell for a duration of 8 hours. So I would be spending the majority of a day to enrich the land.
Okay.
And
okay.
the amount of water that I can create with create or destroy water is 10 gallons at most per casting.
You're gonna basically be a vending machine.
Oh, stop it.
Everyone get a bucket. Run to Garmor. He's at 3rd and 8th. All right, so that kind of continues on the back and forth between Cecil and M and Zorax. Your conversations are getting a little more fluent at this point. Zorax, I need a perception check from you.
Okay. Oh wow, a natural 20. There we go.
It's
21.
You're not sure what's going on in this area, but you're constantly every day you find these little spider webs kind of just coming up out of nowhere. They're popping up. You're constantly cleaning them. They've got some really strange a spider problem here on the edge of the city for some reason, and it's very strange. You're not sure if that's a sign of a monster to come or what, but it's been poking around a lot, and it's always same style spider, different slightly different location, kind of around the gate area.
Do I sense any live creature within 60 feet?
You mean, would you have checked to see if it was a living creature? Because it was.
Ideally.
Yeah, you would have. You identified it as a living creature. Nothing hostile emanated from it at all, but nothing
Possibly
holy
dark
either, right?
Well, because my Shadow Razor allows me to see the souls of things within 60 feet, so...
Yes, so
I
you would
can-
know it's a creature. Yes.
Okay. But it
all right.
doesn't... do I know where it's at? Is it just kind of like hiding in a hole somewhere?
Well, it's there. Sometimes it's not. It just kind of wanders around. Some days it's there. Some days it's just gone. You're a little busy
Weird.
to keep track of the spider. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a lot of spiders infestation in this area. You might want to call an exterminator.
Weird.
With that, another week has passed. You guys have gotten really made some good progress. I'm gonna go through and I want you each to give me a check to determine the general progress you make for this week, and then we're going to have a new meeting scheduled with Reya. So I'm going to need an intelligence check from Merle, a medicine check, and nature check from Garmor.
Can I enhance ability myself for the medicine?
Yes, you can use whatever benefits, buffs, whatever you got to make your checks as high as you want. 'Cause we're not going turn by turn and adventuring hour by adventuring hour.
Right.
This is basically just to determine your overall effectiveness for the week, right? And then I'm gonna
Right.
need a I would say an insight check from Zorax. And Cecil, during this time, you're continually aiding and helping him learn. Why don't you give me an investigation check?
Okay.
I got a 16 on my insight.
15 on investigation.
All right, 15 you said?
Yep.
All right. I will you were able to through this process you've kind of been able to observe what's going on around you, and you've collected some pretty good details between the meetings with M and Zorax and this other army. You've got some really good notes. I will send you the detail of those notes at a later time.
So I rolled a 9 on my medicine and a 16 on my nature check.
All right. So unfortunately, you made a few poor decisions in your healing and chose to help produce water or something else, and you did lose a few people in the process that you might have otherwise saved. But you have to think of the majority versus the singles, so you've made those tough calls. But you do have kind of a thing going on of generating water, kind of like a vending machine. Zorax, you've got a pretty good handle on the language. I would say you have 80% confidence at the moment. Another week or so when you think you'll have it. But what I will tell is what you and Cecil have learned from the gentleman that you have been interrogating. And we're going to go ahead and have a short thing leading into the meeting with Reya. And once again, it's still possible for you to make a mistake, but we're going to have this conversation as is. Says, so as we have discussed, Cecil, Zorax, M, I think that it would be best that if you let myself and one of our leaders meet with your ruler. I think the understanding is clear now that what happened here appears to be an accident. I understand that, as far as we can tell. Of course, we've only met with you and your team, which is why we want to meet with leadership. I have revealed some good information about us, the Boris Legion, and your appearance here on Ravnica. And I think that this needs to be shared with everybody that lives within your city of... what's his word again?
Elturel.
And he kind of struggles to get it out. Elturel. So with that, I think we should plan a meeting. If you will take this to your commander and allow such a thing. This will be next steps for both sides. This includes offering aid to your destroyed city. And at the moment, you can see him kind of trembling as he says that, and his eyes flicker to all the damage around and below Elturel. What do you two think of this? Do you think it is time? It has been 2 weeks. Now, keep in mind, there have been scuffles. There have been some misunderstandings. The soldiers have been kind of struggling back and forth. It's not been perfect by any stretch, but the overall consensus is that it's been a pretty decent, a pretty good neutral agreement. A few slip-ups here and there.
I'd like to just talk to Zorax without them overhearing for a second.
Let me
Just
check
to
something.
figure out what we want to do.
All right. M says, you kind of pull Zorax aside. Do you want M involved?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So you pull M, and you kind of just wave to the soldier, which the soldier you now know his name is Jara.
Jara?
Jara, Jara. He is a blue-eyed, blonde, typical generic soldier from every image in Magic the Gathering artwork you've ever seen.
Okay.
The most generic soldier ever.
Generic blonde-haired, blue-eyed soldier. Got it.
Oh,
Jara.
that fits perfectly into what I want to say then.
And like the
Okay.
most, like, yeah.
So I kind of whisper a little bit to Eminem and Zorax and say, if we're offering our number one, our leader, to talk to, shouldn't they do something similar? Otherwise, we take all the risk.
That would be ideal, and I would agree with you. I was actually going to try and pressure them in order to say, no, we need 1 more week, just so I can interpret for both sides. I have a pretty good handle on the language as it stands, but
You do.
there's slip-ups here and there. And
Yes,
unfortunately,
and a slip up here could be the difference between all-out
Yeah.
war and peace.
And-
This is important to get right.
And I think that is what my current plan is to try and say, let's give this 1 more week. We're still trying to... Clearly, we're trying to make progress in restorations. And at least that way
And
we
if
can
we
have a
can get
suitable...
Leadership from their side to come talk too. That'd be important.
that would be amazing. But we'll
Yeah.
see if we can get that out of them.
I think
Man,
that those
you
are both wonderful ideas, and are very well thought out. Kudos to you, Cecil.
Thank you.
Very wonderful insight you have. Must come with the long beard, I would suppose.
Oh, old age.
All right.
Old
hang on.
age.
Where's-
Love it.
1 second here. So you guys both kind of return, and he kind of is waiting impatiently, which is strange. He's been so stalwart the last couple weeks. It's strange to see him kind of antsy, I guess would be the term.
Fidgety.
Yes,
Yeah.
fidgety. Thank you. So, what
Is there
the
any way we
decision?
can pick up on why he's nervous?
I
I
would
guess we
say
can just ask him.
you could ask him, but you can tell he's nervous. But I mean, people can be nervous for a lot of different reasons. I don't know that there's any one Give me
Yeah,
insight check. I'll feed you a little bit of information depending on how you do. Both of you.
Oh,
18.
I crit failed.
Oh, no. You think he must have to take a shit or something.
Yeah,
He's
he's gotta use the bathroom really bad.
Yeah, and,
I'm sorry,
in that armor,
17,
it'll take him
17.
like 10 minutes to get that armor off, so.
We better make this a quick meeting.
What's that?
I
Gotta
said
make
we
a
better
quick
make this a quick meeting.
That's funny. All right. What'd you get?
I got a 17.
So you see his as you're looking at his nervousness, he's kind of just looking around, almost as if he's looking to see if somebody's watching. But you can't pick up on much more than that.
Hmm.
So as you guys approach,
Yeah.
says, well, what is the decision?
Before the decision, we've been talking for weeks now, and something seems off with you. What ails you?
There's an alien force atop my home.
But you didn't suspect anything weeks prior.
I was in a position of war. That clearly is likely not the case now. Do you understand? We thought you weapon.
As soldier as well, I do understand.
So,
However, that being said, do I need to wait for something? Do I need to? Are you rolling for a reason, Mr. DM?
of course, and I wrote something
Okay.
down, but you don't need to know that.
Okay.
It's none ya business
Okay.
till it's important.
All right. I say
what we need to say.
we need one more week so I can be fluent in the language and I can interpret both sides.
And also, hopefully, to get a leader from your side to talk to.
What he said. The clanging of dice in the distance.
You speak to Captain. Is that not enough?
Well, we're offering our city's leader. Is there anybody higher rank than you?
I'll see what I can do.
At least he was. I was like, that almost seems bold to ask by this point, but I'm like, you know what? If he tries to fight the old man, I just fight him. Whatever.
Fight a war that we cannot win.
Right.
Well, I
so-
would fight him.
With Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it is problematic to lead you straight to our leader, who is currently holding our city together. And as a fellow soldier, I assume you understand.
He smirks
How
a
that
little
would
bit when you
feel.
say hold together. He kind of just looks around.
It ain't much. I take that smirk for an instance. I say, do you scoff at all the destruction you see right here?
Zorax, it's okay.
I will see what I can do. And he scribbles on a pen and paper what is the date and time. A week from an hour or noon, a week from today.
Week from today.
And it says he will arrive with 3 people.
Okay.
All right, and then you guys, everyone kind of does their own thing. Reya calls for a war council meeting, which involves you guys and a few other of the soldiers and the elite. And she says, you guys end up in this. What's that?
Oh.
Did you also need to make some rolls too?
Oh yeah. Well, I thought I wrote your roll down for. Oh, I need one more. I need.
Right,
You
he's
never
not
actually gave me the numbers, did you?
Right. Hence the
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
He said ship intelligence check, right?
Yep.
35.
So you got 25 and 35. So, that's actually one of the that puts you near the top for the reinforcement, which is odd because it's all rubble. But hey, we'll go with it.
I guess.
Alrighty. So during this process, you guys have made contacts with a lot of different people, and you start to get to know a lot of the people. I need to. Oh yeah, I gotta remember to send that investigation check to Cecil. There we go. All right.
Cecil's doing some sketchy shit, just like I am.
Well, I mean, everyone's got their own stuff going on. I mean, he's an old guy. Maybe he's just smoking a pipe.
I do have a pipe.
See?
I also, during one of the weeks, Zorax finally remembers that he has a wife, and he does ask around some of the nobles, has anyone heard of Saphira?
She's not from here though, is she? She was in.
No, I think we actually said she was from Elturel. That she was a noble.
Baldur's Gate.
Well, that's where she
I was
lives.
in Baldur's Gate.
That's where they
but
live.
she was a noble in Elturel, I believe is what we said.
Oh.
So we never truly figured out if she is back in the original Forgotten Realms, or if she's here.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't have an answer for you.
That is totally fine. That's just my
I
bond, and I need to worry about it.
I wrote it down for something for me to explore in, because I
So I
tried.
do
I tried to tie some stuff before to your wife, and you're like, yeah, I don't give a fuck.
It's just like I was in hell and she wasn't there.
All right, so
knowledge.
I did write that down, and I will make sure to tie that in and have an answer for you next time.
I do appreciate that.
All right, so the walls are looking fabulous. You've actually between Fairy and Merle, you guys were actually able to forge a concoction of mortar, making it from the ichor of the dead corpses of those creatures. You found it mixed really well with the soil, so you've got this kind of good reinforced heavy-duty ichor that is now basically holding your city together. Yeah.
I got good news. We managed to pull some materials together, managed to patch up the walls a little bit. Just don't ask what we made it out of, and we're all right.
So with that, you guys are brought into this big chamber in the high hall. It's a private chamber up in one of the towers. As you guys are making your way up the spiral staircase, there's you can see where there's patches that Merle and Fairy had managed to cobble together. They started here because they wanted to make sure the core the core people to the government were going to be protected. So the ceiling has been patched up with a combination of green ichor mud and tombstones and other building stones. So as you walk up the spiral staircase, you come to a landing that leads into a vast room that has basically a massive round table with a small cutout that leads to an opening, like donut-like hole in the center, usually where somebody sits or stands when giving a presentation. You can see a spattering of papers, several maps of Elturel. You can see where they've tried to dig new wells and where some of the druids are trying to restore the land the best they can, plant seeds under Garmor's guidance. You can see all the process flow for the laborers that are under Merle and Fairy as they are trying to reconstruct what they can. It is a bit of a loss to have to abandon the eastern half of Elturel, but there's just not, the population's not as big anymore, and you just don't have the resources to man and protect such a big area, so you guys have been forced to kind of shrink it. The work being done by Cecil and Zorax has been really well received. You guys have been making good progress. There's been constant reports there. Garmor has also set up good stations for treating the sick and and making sure everyone is taken care of and following the proper procedures. You guys are all sitting in these. I don't want to say they're seats. They're more like boulders or stones or broken chairs.
Rubble.
Kind of. Yes, you're sitting in rubble basically. And once again, you see the big, towering, half orc, half Goliath guy, and several other of her advisors kind of standing around. And she looks to the crowd, specifically towards you guys, and says, "Well, I can't believe I'm gonna say it, but you guys have you have done some fantastic work here. In spite of how bad it has been, there is a light at the end of the tunnel." So I would ask you each to kind of give a short report on the current process and how everything is going, and then we will deliberate on very important matters. I would ask that our linguist and Zorax and M, that you guys go last, because yours is going to be of the utmost top priority in the discussion. That means everybody pays attention. Do you understand me? You can tell that in the last 2 weeks, she's kind of developed a more commanding presence. She's no longer this kind of second guessing herself, looking over her shoulder to her advisors. She's kind of accepted her role as far as that goes. Let us start with Merle Bronson. Your report.
Well, we managed to redistribute the population to use some away from unused sections of the city. So that way we can show our defenses, and we seem to be making some progress on the walls, and I believe on the wells as well. No pun intended.
Is it true that you use the corpses of those creatures to make the walls?
Yeah, I used materials at hand, and that was one of the materials at hand.
I'd say that is rather impressive.
And it works.
Okay, honestly, it's better than using our precious water, so kudos to you.
Very true.
Right? Anything else you wanted to add, Merle? Oh.
I don't believe I have any other factors to add at this time.
I have a question. Now that the construction for the walls is underway, do you think that we'll be able to shore up some repairs to some buildings and shelter for the citizens?
Well, probably could, but that'd be taken away from the wall construction, and we kind of need that as much as possible for defenses. So once we shore up the walls, we can spend more time on the interior when we're protected. Well,
all right.
Protected anyway.
In the interim, we will continue to use tents and canopies then to the best of our abilities. But it seems like the weather is starting to get hot. The temperatures are certainly soaring. I don't know what the seasons are here, but we'll have to make sure everyone's got at least a bit of shade to shelter from the sun. Thank you for your report, Merle. Fairy, thank you for your support as well.
It does have Druidcraft.
What's that?
Garmor does have Druidcraft. One of its abilities is that he can predict the weather at his location for the next 24 hours. In fact, might manifest as a golden orb for clear skies, a cloud for rain, falling snowflakes for snow, and so on. This effect persists for one. And so on. Sorry. This effect persists for 1 round.
Okay, so you'll be able to be our weather master.
Although any druid that has this cantrip can make a report on this.
They know that it's getting hot, but that's all your thing tells you is whether it's going to snow, rain, or be hot as fuck. That's pretty much it. You know it's going to be hot. Step outside. But it is good that they can predict the rain. I didn't know that, and I'm going to write that down.
Could be helpful.
Well, considering you guys have a water shortage, that's a
A very helpful thing.
that's pretty nice for me to know.
Ooh.
All right, so Garmor and Feli, I need your report on the farms and the healing sanctuaries.
Healing sanctuaries was rough. There were people that we could not spare to save.
I can only imagine.
Water shortage is still a problem, but at least we've enriched some of the land. However, we had to utilize the cemetery to act as the staging ground. Some people might not be okay with that, but we are forced into such matters.
And as you guys were walking in, there were a bunch of citizens who were outside protesting, holding their signs, and one of them is, "Don't trample on my family," and it's a sign of you guys are moving tombstones and stuff. And there's just all kinds of bullshit going on, and, you know, people holding up signs that you could be doing better and all that jazz. So it's quite the noisy monstrosity outside of this building, which is why you guys are in private chambers now instead of during an open conference like she's been doing with the civilians. She says,
I know it's a bad idea, but somebody tell them a firebolt may have your name written on it, but a fireball says to who it may concern.
Merle, I know you think you're funny, but you have to keep keep your voice in check. If somebody gets the wrong idea, they really are going to think we're a bunch of incompetent fools. And we cannot have that. There's enough people running around crying fake reports already. But it's...
Zorax is he had a quick chuckle. He's like,
So I do have a question. How are you prioritizing who lives and who dies? I know it's not an easy task. I know somebody has to do it.
To save a farmer over a thief who did nothing to contribute to the efforts of reconstruction.
I see. Are you determining illness and age as a priority factor or skill set?
Skill set, primarily, age secondary. But the young must live.
She nods her head in agreement and says, "As painful as it is to say, I understand, and it is the way it is. We'll do what we can. I know it's not an easy decision." With that, let me open the floor to my generals, and then we will speak with you, Zorax and Cecil and M. The big burly guy steps up. Did I give him a name?
I don't think so.
nope.
Oh, it's not Eminem. Okay, I got that mixed up then.
What? No, Eminem is just a lanky half-elf.
Oh,
Remember,
right.
he has the...
Okay.
So let me go look
Yeah,
up
we didn't give the big guy a name.
Osim.
Yeah.
Osim.
Osib.
I gave him a name, but I didn't tell you.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was trying to say. I was like, I know I gave him a name. All right, Osim steps up and he says, "Reporting. We are down to about 40% capacity of our soldiers. There's been several scuffles between a myriad of different creatures. While none of the soldiers have been much of a threat, the skittering creatures, as he pulls out of a sack and he's got the head of one of the bug creatures, throws it on. These buggers keep finding a way to get in. I know Merle and Fairy have been working hard, but they still manage to keep slipping in. Not to mention, what?
Is that the spiders that I've been seeing?
No, It's
Okay.
it's the bug guys you guys fought.
Okay.
Oh.
Because remember, they can walk on walls, so they can literally just walk up and over.
Yeah.
So the soldiers are constantly fighting while you guys are focused on the more important tasks, if that makes sense.
Right.
Um,
No, that makes sense.
I
Okay.
wanted you guys to have a bigger role than just cleaning up, minions, I guess is what you could call
Kill
them.
the small fry.
Yeah. So, shit, I forgot where I was going with that.
You were making a
General
report
report.
about the
Oh, yeah.
infestation.
Oh, yeah. So we are down to about, what did I say, 40%?
Yep.
The problem with rolling dice is if I don't write it down right away, I forget.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing nobody has seen any update about the Duke yet.
We will get
None.
to that, Merle, when our infiltrators give their report. So, anyways, he goes, so as I was saying before I was interrupted, and he kind of shoots an eye over at Merle Bronson, we're down to 40% of our militia. That's with pulling from some of the farm and help hands, which honestly, you might as well not even give them a weapon. We're doing our damnedest to train them. But these fools, you'd think swinging a hoe all day long, they'd be able to swing a sword, but apparently there's no connection. Might as well be giving them a napkin to hit everyone with. Anyways, we're doing what we can. I'm glad that Merle and Ferry decided it was a good idea to shrink our narrow down our focus because we were spread too thin. We should be able to easily hold. But I do have some concerns. I don't know if anybody has seen the strange creations that have been floating around, but I'm getting very concerned. Those pieces of equipment with the spinning blades, I don't know how I feel about those. They don't ever attack, but they're constantly entering in our area, zooming in and zooming out and around and floating. We haven't been able to catch one yet, but I know that they're doing reconnaissance, and I have my concerns. But that's all that we know at the moment.
Wait.
Spinning blades?
There are some unknown devices surveying our city. No one told me about it.
That's not in your focus right now. You were given your job assignment.
I'm gonna
But-
find me one.
But you did notice them, and yes, you're very interested in it. To kind of you kind of want to envision like a like a handmade kind of like a drone or something like that. You do notice that they all have these kind of like blue crystals or something inside of them. That seems to be like their energy cores or whatever. But anyways, he says outside of that, we're able to shell up. We've been able to forge new arrowheads out of some of the stone, and we're running low on, or we're no longer running low on equipment as we've been able to recover equipment from the Fallen. That is all I have for my report today, sir. And she says, thank you, Osim. And from the spies, I need an investigation check from Cecil again.
Five.
Well, that's going to be an easy feed, do you?
Yeah.
So I got to keep a running list here so I know how many things I got to send to you. All right. So you did notice, you've kind of observed these quote unquote infiltrators, and you're not impressed. You've seen better work. All right. So, very soft voice, a woman with a black cloak and a very delicate, surprisingly delicate face, reports to the says, yes, we believe that we've gathered some information on the locals in the area. As far as I can tell, this entire place is just one massive city. And it appears to be run by, they call them guilds, but basically this entire planet, this realm, this plane, whatever you want to call it, appears to be run by 10 different guilds of a variety of different factions, if you will, all with their own motives. But the one thing that we are able to get is they each have their own obligation to this realm of Ravnica. And she goes off a list and says the Azorius Senate functions as the government. The Boris Legion, she kind of nudges the soldiers outside, the Boris Legion pursues the cause of justice, not merely law enforcement. They serve as the standing army of this realm. The Golgari swarm. You've seen them. They're the creatures that we've been dealing with since we arrived. This disgusting, and she points at the head that Osim has. The Gargori they lurk under the city as a whole and process its waste. What a vile thought. Then you've got the very barbaric Gruul clans. They don't seem to fit the theme of what we've seen. They kind of follow their own way. Very primitive by comparison. My personal favorite is the Izzet. They are a league of scientists and engineers. She shoots an eye over at Moral. I can think of more than one in here who would be interested in getting their hands on some of their tech. No doubt they're the ones that send those flying devices into our city. There is a strange cult. We haven't been able to gather their names, but they basically are jesters. It's strange. We haven't fully put together exactly what it is they do, but they have a thirst for disgusting entertainment. I'll let you know when I have more. The Selesnya. They are a collection of druids. She kind of eyes Garmor and Fairy. They appear to be the manifestation of this world's nature. It's hard to explain. We're still gathering information. And then the last is by far one of the most intriguing. The Simic. As far as I can understand, they're a sort of biomancer. They apply the magic and science to shape their bodies. It is quite a gruesome sight, but also very intriguing. That is the end of my report. And Reya says, well done, Visanya. That was very well done. Did you have any troubles in the investigation? She says, we lost half our spies. They have not returned.
Understandably.
Now, Cecil, you know why they have not returned. Now, you guys notice she said that there were 10 guilds, but she only named 9.
What is the 10th?
What?
What is the 10th guild?
If I knew that, I would have revealed it.
Understandable.
Information is not so easy to come by. Do you think some schmuck on the street is just going to tell us everything? It's hard enough to blend in.
Is anybody sitting next to me from the group, from like our group?
Anybody you want. You would assume you guys are together. Usually groups cliques are together.
I'm just gonna whisper to everybody.
I would imagine I'd be like the one most immediate to you because we've been working together.
Yeah.
And
I'll kind of like aim it at Zorax and ask, is she hiding something?
Calling for like an insight check or a spell or something. You can both give me insight checks if you want.
I'm gonna see what I have in my sleeve here.
Is she hiding something? Of course she's hiding something. She's a fucking spy.
Right.
Would my passive insight notice?
She did not portray anything out of the ordinary that you would have picked up.
I'll roll real quick. It was just a 12.
Can I just say, Steve absolutely loves the Cecil guy.
He's like, I don't know about this one.
And,
Thanks, Steve.
and let's go down the list of the 9 that were mentioned.
Do you need me to do that, or do you just, as like the DM?
The Azoria Senate is the government. The Boris Legion is the enforcers of justice.
Right.
The Golgari Swarm are the creatures that attacked us upon our arrival. The Gruul clans are the barbarians. The Izzet League are the scientists and engineers who have been sending those machines. An unnamed cult of jesters, if I heard correctly.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, dude. It really is.
Who have a thirst for disgusting entertainment. The Selesnya, a collection of druids who the manifestation of this world's nature. The Simic, biomancers applying magic and science to manipulate their bodies. And that is all 9 of them so far.
And those Izzet League guys sound kind of awesome.
I thought you'd like those.
The Selesnya.
So, did you guys try to give me insight checks?
Yeah, I only rolled a 13.
Bastard
I got a 19.
She isn't hiding anything in particular. You can tell that she knows something, but obviously she isn't comfortable sharing it with it. You can, judging by when she was asked if she's hiding anything, or if there was anything else, and she snapped back, if I had more information, I'd get it. You can tell she's a little irritated, like she hasn't gathered. She's disappointed in her performance.
Almost like they're like, she doesn't have enough. Almost.
Yes.
To
draw conclusions.
Right. Okay.
I know, she knows there's another guild out there, but she doesn't have enough information to say what it is or who it is.
That makes sense.
So, all right, Kat, you're really clawing into me, and it hurts really bad. You're gonna need to move. All right. So with that, she says, "All right. If nobody else has anything, I will turn to." She does dart. Her eyes do dart over to Cecil and Zorax, and she does say, "Well, if I could rely on these translations a little better, then maybe I would have something." And she eyeballs you guys.
Give me one more week.
With that,
and
she
promise
says,
I could translate you anything.
"All right,
Did we
At
tell
least
her
in
about
this
the meeting coming up?
Boros.
we have
the
not
meeting
got
we
to there
don't
yet. That's
Okay.
for
Yeah,
that.
not
That's
yet.
it's now
That's
you
right.
guys. You guys put you guys
Now
last
it's
for that
now,
very
okay.
reason, so we could go right
Okay.
into that. She turns to
All right, now we
Am,
get to fire
Cecil,
back.
and Austin.
Good.
Says, "All right, so with the translations, how are we doing?" It sounds like she's a little upset. It's not going as well as she would like.
It's been 2 weeks. We're gonna figure out an entire language in 2 weeks. Yeah, it's not happening. Even
Well,
with magic.
We were promised.
Honestly, I'm impressed how quick Zorax is picking up the language. In all the languages I've learned, he's doing excellent.
Well, that's quite.
I
Quite
appreciate
impressive.
the praise.
Obviously, I would like it faster than a month, but you seem to be doing very well. Hopefully, it's not causing too many issues with our support. As she looks around the room to the other officers, she says, "The
We
question."
do-
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, to kind of start off with the meeting, now that I know that the Boros Legion is a faction that seeks justice and is a little more than just simple law enforcement, I think I now have a better idea of what their intentions are. But
Can you
Which-
elaborate?
so negotiations have been pretty standard, trying to figure each other out for a good while, and then for some reason this last bit here, he seemed fidgety, I guess is the best way to put it. Like something was off. He kind of gave me a half-assed reason that I don't believe, because if
Why don't you believe him?
because he said that, well, an alien land had just fallen upon our home. How could I not be? But if that were the case, why 3 weeks in advance than now, or when it first started? It just seems a little bizarre to suddenly, after we were having what I had believed to be, I mean, there was hiccups here and there from misunderstandings from the language barrier, but we cleared that. So it makes no sense why he was suddenly not excited
Well,
to. Oh, go ahead, Cecil.
Some of it could be that he feels that we have talked enough, and he's ready to talk to someone rather
Of
than
importance.
just translators. Yes.
Right.
Perhaps this Senate that Spymaster Visanya speaks of is growing impatient.
However, that being said, we did leverage that I could be the interpreter, so that way I can figure out this language and we can have a very accurate conversation between both parties. And we had tried to also ask them, because obviously they would like to see you, Reya,
Of course.
that we tried to get them to bring them someone a little more than just their captain, supposedly. Actually, with my soldier background, could I have guessed that if he was actually a captain?
Yes, you would
Did
know
he seem
that
to have the stature that
He did
was
not.
indeed a captain?
he did not.
did not,
Or if
so
he
he lied.
was, he's a new captain.
Oh.
He didn't have the experience. And
That
from
I
a
would be-
soldier and from a soldier's perspective, you understand that because he just walked into enemy territory. So
Right.
it would make sense to toss somebody that's a little more expendable than
Exactly.
but it doesn't necessarily mean that he lied to you.
Right. So I relay that with my experience as a soldier, that he didn't seem quite like the actual captain, or if he were, he's either new or, clearly stressed because, walking into who knows if it's an invading force or not.
He did
Garmar
not give
speak-
us a straight answer on whether he was bringing a superior with him to this meeting
He did
next
not.
week.
I just assumed that soldiers were bad negotiators
So
or diplomats.
so the
Yeah, it's not
question
like he's
is
gonna
then,
work on it, and what happens, happens.
so the question is then how do we set this meeting up to ensure that there's no risk to the civilians?
Right.
We have a week to think about it.
That's true.
So we can come up with more specifics on this meeting throughout the week, and then maybe a couple days before, we could ask if they have a superior and go over our details on where we want to meet them and if it's okay with them.
What about a neutral ground?
I'm sure there's probably a bridge we can probably walk on. At least that way, it's pretty hard to ambush somebody unless you're scaling the pillars of the bridge.
Which doesn't
And
seem to be
typically-
too much of an issue for those green creatures.
They quite literally seem to walk on walls like vampires. I'm not including them.
Spiders, little varmints.
So
These ones at least seem something akin to human.
So if I heard you right, they're planning on bringing a
3 people.
emissary of 3. And
Right.
You did not think to ask who those 3 would be.
He seemed pretty agitated and want to leave.
I don't.
We,
see
like I
how
said,
that,
we have a
I
week.
don't see what that has to do with not asking him who he planned to bring.
As
We
in
have
he's
time
being
to
dismissive.
ask. Yeah, we have time to ask, and if there's a better day to do it, we can do it on a better day.
So
We
then
can just meet him later.
I have a question for this council. What then should be our priority of this meeting? Obviously, assuring that we mean them no harm is number one.
Right. Well,
Should we be willing to seek aid?
Oh, well, at the moment, beggars can't be choosers.
Yes.
We have
I
to seek
think
aid.
there's an end goal that we're missing.
Can you
Is the
elaborate,
city
Cecil?
is the city going to just stay here?
We should be
Well,
trying to get out.
My plan
Right.
is to see if they can give us aid to get us home. We
Hmm.
don't belong here. And
Okay.
we obviously are in a new land, and we don't know what that means for us.
So
All
then
we
is
can
the
do,
priority to let them know that we want to leave and need their help to leave.
I think that would be best.
Okay.
But in order to figure out a way home, we need to ensure that as many of Elturel survive and to make it back. Otherwise, what's the point?
We should probably find some way to speak with the Azorius Senate, so that way we can at least plea a case, I suppose. And who knows, maybe we can ask this Boris Legion to kind of give us an escort to talk to somebody.
The other guilds, yes.
So walk directly into their territory.
We have not many options or the spellcasters to get us out of here. Last time we had a solar. Or not a solar, we had a
Planetar?
planetar? Planetar?
Yeah, I think I said solar, but it was a planetar.
Yeah, last time we had a a planetar to get us out of here, and I have not seen this individual since.
Seen him,
I don't
right?
think we have the power to get us out of here.
Our goal is twofold. One is to establish a ceasefire, a treaty.
Right.
Beyond that, to seek aid to help us in our city return
Correct.
to Faerun. This is a tall order. What is it we have to offer them in exchange?
A city
Figure
not
that out.
on
We have
top
to
of their
get to know
city.
them better.
Please,
benefit-
please, please, everyone, one at a time.
Sorry, go ahead, Merle.
Well, in order to figure that out, we need to figure out what they got in the first place. In order to do that, we need to get to know them better.
This is fair.
The Visoria speaks up, says, well, if I had to guess, we would start with the Izzet Guild.
Oh, I think we can, I found that just dandy.
Then it is settled. We will meet them. Let them know that we will agree to this meeting. I have one request that you ask when you meet them. Do they know where the Duke is? And have they found him? If
That
so,
will be a tough
they bring it?
translation.
how so?
They have to know who we're talking about.
Hmm.
If it's difficult in translation in the first place,
An alien that doesn't understand you should be a pretty simple translation.
Admittedly, that is correct.
So that would be my task of you.
We'll do what we can.
You are all my advisors. I cannot do this without you. We cannot save Elturel without all of you. She looks at everyone in turn. But together we will unite. We will return to our home. And we will return to the land that we love. Let us begin. and that's where we're gonna end it for tonight.
Oh. Question. At this point, we have long rested, right?
Yeah. You're
Okay.
I mean,
That's
And
why I
it's
we're
didn't
about to start
bother.
another week.
Yeah, I didn't bother. That's why I didn't bother with the rolling of your spell slots or anything, because it just keeps rolling in the week, so it wasn't
Yeah.
important enough to focus on. So, with that, that'll do it for our episode 2 of Planeshifters. I know we went from a really combat heavy to a roleplay heavy. Hopefully there'll be a little more back and forth moving forward. Wow, we'll see. This is obviously a higher level campaign, and the goal isn't as obvious and the focus isn't as obvious as there's a big giant dragon, let's go fight it. So
Right.
if you like political intrigue, if you like complexity of what's the word I'm looking for?
Complex relationships.
Yes. That's what I hope to continue in this adventure, in this campaign, this story. We want our players to try to get home. That's what we're going to do. And that includes finding a way home and finding allies that'll help them, or finding enemies that'll take advantage of them. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Planeshifters, and will join us again in 2 weeks on the 3rd of September at 7 p.m. So please come and join us. Before we close out, we'll go through the everyone one last time. Tell us who you are and something you liked about this, or who you are, who you played, and something you liked about tonight's game. Let's start with our first ever guest, Will.
Yeah, I played Cecil, an old man monk, who I enjoyed the everything happening in the background.
Okay.
Ian?
So again, I'm Ian Wood, one of the co-hosts for Crit Academy, playing Merle Bronson, Human Artificer, and I enjoyed the fact that we all use our skill sets in order to try to improve and influence a city.
Yes.
I'm glad. Thank you. Matt.
Hi, my name is Matthew, and I play Garmor, the Moon Druid. This was an interesting take, although I did not like my rolls tonight, even with enhanced ability. It was interesting to be very roleplay heavy for this session, which is kind of what I like, despite Ian's chagrin. Because I know that he's more combat than roleplay kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was an interesting thing to do. Garmor doesn't do much with medicine, but I would ask my DM through the past 2 to 3 weeks that we've done this, could I change
Yes.
something with my stats,
Yes.
or skill proficiency?
Yes.
Alrighty, I will do that after the show.
Anybody that watches this show or plays with me, I'd rather you play a character you want and then not hold you to something you don't want. It makes no difference. We all make mistakes, and sometimes that mistake bites us in the ass. Who cares if you change it? It's a game.
Yeah.
All right. Austin.
Guys, I'm Austin. I played Zorax. I didn't really see him being a diplomatic character, but high charisma and all that, I suppose. Which I didn't use any of my charisma. It was all insight.
That's interesting.
It was definitely a take that I didn't expect this character to go, but it turns out it worked out well because the people we were talking to were soldiers, so he was at least able to speak with them without wanting to rip their head off.
Yeah.
Yay!
Alrighty.
It was pretty fun.
I'm glad. It was. This was an experiment for me. I have never done anything on this scale, so it was certainly something that I was not confident in. So I'm glad at least you guys had a little fun. Hopefully, as we move forward, it'll be a little more straightforward. But trying to get Elturel in a defensive position, other than saying, "All right, you guys are defensive." I wanted you to be involved in it. I want you guys my plan is to have you more involved than just adventurers that go and do fetch quests. And I
Right.
think we're on the right direction. I've dug quite a hole with Cecil, and I'm super excited to see how we get out of it. I love his character. I want to thank you personally, Will, for working with me and developing such an interesting new character.
Oh yeah, it's great
I-
seeing all the nervous faces right now.
Yes, I know everybody is dying to know what is going on behind the scenes, and I hope that the payoff in the end is going to be worth it. With that, I am your host, Justin. I am the host of the Wow, I just totally said that ass backwards. I am the Dungeon Master, Justin. I am the host of the Crit Academy podcast. If you have not seen it, you need to come and join us. Every week we talk D&D. We have open discussions. We talk about our favorite, monsters and everything. We're here to tickle your dice. So please come and join us this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about bringing hex crawls to your D&D games, which is super exciting. So with that, I think we'll close out. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes. See you guys later.
Bye.